is Maggie Roddin, and you are listening to The Unsolicited Opinion. And I know everybody knows that song. Who doesn't know Rocky, right? Everybody knows Rocky. And I wanted to play that song today for my guest who's coming on because he is our Rocky. He truly is. My guest who will be joining me in a couple of minutes when we get him hooked up into the system here is Fred Kelly Grant. And he was very instrumental. He is one of the attorneys. He is the attorney who was very instrumental in helping to stop the Trans-Texas Corridor. For those of you who are familiar with it, and for those of you who are not, it was a, several football field wide corridor that they were going to place all the way from, I think the southern tip of Mexico up through the middle of the United States on into Canada. From the Yucatan to the Yukon, I believe, was the planned route for this Trans-Texas Corridor, which would have taken over hundreds of thousands of acres of people's private property and been nothing good for America, all part of their game plan of the North American Union. So Fred was very instrumental in helping to stop that. And he is in another battle today, and this is a battle with the Department of Interior because they want to withdraw a strip of land in Arizona where we mine uranium. And, of course, that'll put thousands of people out of work and cost Americans billions of dollars. But, of course, for those of you who have listened to my show consistently, you know that all of the stuff that I have guests on who talk about are all things related to UN Agenda 21. And anyway, that's the cue music. I'm going to be going to break. And when I come back, my guest, Fred, hopefully will be hooked into the system. I know he's on the road as we speak. So hang in there, everybody. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Don't go away. This is The Unsolicited Opinion.
Introducing IXL Anti-Friction Metal Conditioner. IXL works at the molecular level to reduce friction by penetrating into and bonding onto the microscopic openings of the walls of ferrous-based metals. The surfaces become smoother and denser, and this reduces the heat, friction, and metal expansion and wear caused by moving metal surfaces. The benefits are reduced maintenance activities and cost, increased fuel efficiency, and prolonged equipment life. It will not clog pipes, injectors, or supply lines, does not build up or accumulate on itself as do many other additives. IXL does not contain moly, PTFE, or graphite. It also offers the tremendous benefit of being non-toxic. It is used for a friction reducer and performance enhancer in gas or diesel engines, transmissions, automatic or standard gearboxes, turbos, electric motors, outdrives, lathe and cutting applications. Go to republicbroadcasting.org, then to our online store, or call us at 800-724-2719. That's 800-724-2719.
Are you still paying your credit cards and so-called bank loans thinking that you owe the money? Do you feel like it's your moral obligation but can't see an end in sight? Well, what if I told you that in truth, you don't owe a single penny, and that the banks know this and hope you don't find out? Here's where we come in. Free2Prosper.com specializes in a profound debt repudiation method which challenges the validity of your so-called debts, morally frees you from the burdens, and protects your property. Our system is often superior to settlement, bankruptcy, or consolidation, which often leave you in a worse situation. If you feel the moral obligation to take care of yourself and your family, then I urge you to consider taking action right now. The economy will not wait. If you want to know more so you can prosper through the economic collapse, all while staying honorable and true to yourself, then call 877-417-8393. That's 877-417-8393. Or visit free2prosper.com right now.
Do you flinch when a police car appears in your rearview mirror, or you get pulled over? Are you squeamish when an envelope arrives in the mail with the return address of a court, a government agency like the IRS, or some law firm? Would you like to escape government agency harassment? Then visit escapeharassment.com. George Bush allegedly says the government constitution is nothing but a doggone piece of paper. Well, that's a contract. A contract is an offer acceptance of that offer, at which point a contract arrives by law and the offerer can no longer withdraw the offer. we teach do not accept. That way there is no contract or agreement for you to go to their court or private club meeting. To escape government agency harassment like the IRS, visit escapeharassment.com. This is a tried and proven experienced process, not experimental, with a money-back guarantee that it works and success testimonials from previous students. Remember, escapeharassment.com. That's escapeharassment.com.
This is Maggie Roddin, and you're listening to The Unsolicited Opinion. And if you want to call into the show today, the number is 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443 is the number. My website is 3 words, theunsolicitedopinion.com, theunsolicitedopinion.com. And if you want to get in contact with me, there is a contact button on my website. So you can contact me. You can give me your unsolicited opinion or your solicited opinion, whichever you prefer. However you want to look at it is fine with me. I really don't care because it really doesn't make much difference. Does it? In the big picture, it really doesn't matter at all. So I want to continue telling you. So this is what these evil people, I could think of so many other adjectives to describe these people, but of course I can't say them on air. So what these people are up to, Secretary of Interior wants to withdraw this strip of land from multiple use. And I'm actually going to read what's on Fred's website, and that'll give you an idea of what's going on here until we get him hooked up, because I don't think he's connected with us yet. Trademark America, which is Fred's group, trademarkamerica.org is the website. They are supporting the Utah-Arizona Coalition of Local Governments in their opposition to the Secretary of Interior's proposed withdrawal of the Arizona Strip from multiple use, an act that will strike a serious blow to the economy of local governments and to the energy potential for the nation. The coalition is conducting a public hearing on the proposed withdrawal on September 7th, well, has occurred, in the Washington County Administration Building in St. George, Utah. Congress specifically and intentionally excluded the Arizona Strip from wilderness designations in both Utah and Arizona so that uranium mining in the Strip could continue. The land in the Strip contains the most usable uranium available for our nation's alternative nuclear power. At a time when the President has directed agencies to encourage economic development and has ordered full speed ahead in development of energy alternatives to foreign oil, Secretary Salazar has taken unilateral action in opposition both to the President's instructions and to the congressional mandate for use of the land. His action violates the 10th Amendment rights of the states of Utah and Arizona and of the local governments directly hit by the withdrawal. This area has already suffered devastating economic and social loss as a result of the Grand Staircase Escalante Monument, the lockdown of billions of tons of the cleanest coal in the nation, and the refusal of the federal government to allow logging of forests that lie dying and decaying. This withdrawal will cost billions of dollars of economic loss and hundreds of jobs. The BLM director of the Arizona Strip has acknowledged that there is no evidence of contamination of water from mining, no evidence of safety violations by the mines, and no evidence of mismanagement by the mines. He did not ask for and did not order the withdrawal. The decision has nothing to do with natural resource damage or issues. It was a political decision made in D.C. Witnesses at the hearing will include economic directors of local governments, leaders in industry, and elected officials. I know that there's something else going on with him today, which is why I actually had him set up to go on with me yesterday, and he couldn't make it. Well, he could make it, but we had some technical difficulties at the network, and so everything was all helter-skelter and screwed up, and we couldn't get on the air live, so we had to cancel that. And he had called me this morning, said he would be able to come on today, but he is having some problems, and so I'm hoping, he said he was going to be on the road, I'm hoping he is going to connect with me, because I just talked to him about 20 minutes before I came on the air. So I am hoping that he will connect with me so that we can discuss what the game plan is here It's just so crucial. And Fred had sent me an email, actually, that he had written at about 6 a.m. He's been up burning the midnight oil, up all night for several days trying to strategize and think of different ideas to be able to combat what it is that's taking place here. And he sent me an email saying that he really believes in the 21 years he's been fighting using coordination, which is a strategy, that this is like the critical moment in his fight and the fights that he's had, that he believes that the decision in how this turns out will be critical to rural America, and it really is that significant of a case in the battle that he's involved in. So I'm hoping we'll connect with him. I don't know what happened here, but I know he's not feeling up to he's not feeling 100%. So anyway, well, let me, because I could ramble on here and talk nonsensically about this, but I don't really know the details, and that would be rather a futile endeavor and pointless, and I'm not into talking about nonsense anyway. So I could ramble on with gibberish, but what the hell's the point in that? So I am going to talk about, now I've got to read this to you. Now I'm not sure if I had mentioned this on Monday, because Monday was a long time ago as far as life rolls for me. I'm telling you, everything that happens at lightning speed around here. So it was a long time ago from the perspective of I can't remember, and I don't listen to my podcasts of my shows after they're over, rarely or once in a while, but not too often. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it just blew my mind when I had my guest on Monday, Randy Murray, talking about what goes on in the school system. I just have to talk to you about some of the things in this article, and I think we might have discussed it, but it's worthy of noting again because it is just such a mind blower. Who could ever make this crap up? That's why when you try to tell people about the different things going on, people just can't believe it. They can't believe it because it seems so absolutely outrageous it cannot be true. Well, it's all true. It's all real. It's all happening, and ain't nothing good coming out of any of this stuff, so it is up to us to stand up and fight like that Rocky movie. He was the underdog, wasn't he? Well, it's up to us, the underdog. We're doing battle with Goliath. I'm telling you, it's up to us to join forces, stand together, and we need to take these evil people. We need to take them down. We can't let these people do this to us. It's as simple as that. Hello, Americans. We just can't let them do it to us. There's no way in hell I'm going down without a fight, and I know a lot of you feel that same way as well. So, I've got a couple more minutes before I hit the first break, and then we'll try to find out what happened to my buddy Fred Kelly Grant. But I want to read this article. I'm laughing, but I'm laughing because I can't cry right now, and that's what I feel like doing when you read these things. But he's... This is on his website, which is Voice from the Pews, my guest I had on Monday. But this is his article entitled, Thousands Are Functionally Illiterate. And he writes, 50 years ago, Rudolf Fleisch published a controversial book called Why Johnny Can't Read, which exposed what John Dewey's disciples and allies were doing to dumb down America through her public schools. Fleisch also prophesied things were only going to get worse, and he was right. Nowadays, Johnny can't read because Johnny doesn't have to read anymore. I should know. I'm a high school English teacher, or at least I am for about 2 more weeks. At the end of this school year, I quit. Most Americans would define the word read to involve picking up a book, magazine, or newspaper, and decoding those 26 symbols called letters that are linked together to form words that are linked together to say something that makes sense. Modern education theorists, however, have redefined read to include someone else doing that decoding process. They say reading to or for someone is the same thing as having that person do the reading themselves. Now, have you ever heard of such nonsense in your life? I mean, you can't make this crap up. Truly, you can't. Absolutely, you cannot. So he goes on to say that diverse learners is the code word used by modern education theorists and their brainwashed followers to describe non-readers. Teachers must focus on the so-called needs of these students whose learning styles, and he has in quotations or parentheses rather, one of the newest teaching fads, do not include reading in the classic sense of the word. Unless a child is a visual, in quotations, learner, that child's reading program cannot be the one successfully used for thousands of years. Instead, the auditory, kinesthetic, or tactile learners must be read to or allowed to play games, draw pictures, put together puzzles, or cut out dolls called thematic visualization. Although very little is taught or learned in the classroom this way, at least no child is left behind. Group learning, too, is another favorite experimental strategy. With this method, diverse learners work together with visual learners, in parentheses, smart kids, who are kept in the same classroom via a stupid concept called mixed ability grouping to complete a particular project or assignment. Of course, you can imagine who winds up doing most, if not all, the work. How do you like that, kids, huh? Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it? See, they knew that the way you were going to help take down America is you were going to make sure people couldn't read. Because if you can't read, you can't. You're not going to gain very many smarts, are you? If you're illiterate, you really can't figure out what the hell's going on around you. Anyway, I'm telling you, you just can't make this stuff up. You really can't make this stuff up. It's just too much. But anyway, that's what's going on. They can't read. They don't want them to read. They don't need to read. If I read to you, that means you've read it. You can cut out paper dolls. Put puzzles together. Draw some pictures. That's all. You could draw some pictures, and that takes the place of having to read. I mean, where do you go with this? What's left to say? I don't think there's anything left to say. It about sums it up, doesn't it? Well, I'm going to say I'm going to break. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Maybe we'll grab Fred. I'm not sure. Something ain't right with his picture here, but we'll be back. Don't go away.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
What really gets in the way of your goals and dreams? Time? Money? Education? Well, if it's all of the above, Ashworth College is for you. Ashworth can help you achieve your goals by letting you study at your own pace, online, anywhere, anytime. Your computer is your classroom. With programs as low as $39 a month, Ashworth College is one of the most affordable online schools out there. Just $39 a month. Plus, Ashworth offers over 100 nationally accredited college programs, such as criminal justice, healthcare, technology, and business. You could earn as much as $300,000 more than those without an associate's degree. No high school diploma? Well, Ashworth even offers high school completion programs. So call an Ashworth Career Advisor right now, toll free at 1-866-504-8173. That's 1-866-504-8173. Or go to ashworthtraining.com.
Freeze Dry Guy customers, take advantage. No, we really want you to take advantage of the October 2011 month special. We have bug-out meat buckets to beef up your real freeze-dried beef and chicken supply. You can beat everyone to the punch because we're offering Freeze Dry Guy customers this order early October deal. Special pre-order price of $119 is now $109. Whether on the go or storing for the future, you have a gold standard in convenience, taste, and nutrition. When variety and quick preparation is paramount, our handy 4-serving pouches are excellent for 72-hour kits, camping, hunting, and backpacking. Our freeze-dried meat can even be added to your everyday routine. From last-minute dinner ideas to high-protein snacks, order now at freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com. Or call 866-404-FOOD. That's 866-404-FOOD.
What's wrong, dear brother? Have you lost your faith? Don't you remember a better place? Where needles and things have done you in.
And this is the Unsolicited Opinion Radio Show. And the call-in number today is 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443 is the number to call if you want to call. Give me your unsolicited opinion. I would be glad to have you do that. I'm more than welcome to have you do that, actually. I don't know what's happened with Fred. I know he told me he was having some health problems when he called me, but he was going to be coming on. But I don't know. I think something's not good. Anyway, so we're going to move on here. I had actually lined up another person to call to be on as my guest, because I wasn't sure if Fred was going to make it today. Actually, I knew the stuff was up in the air, so I'm hoping that I'm going to try to get a message to my other guest I had planned on having on to see if he will call in and come on the show with me. Last minute thing. So I'm hoping that he'll do that anyway, and we'll get him going. My other guest that I had on, or planned to have on, actually, is a man by the name of Karl Priest, and he's got a very interesting website, and the website is insectman.us, and Karl is a retired educator as well, and he was involved with these textbook wars, and it was a battle that took place in, 1974, I guess, in West Virginia, I believe. And so when he comes on, hopefully we'll get him hooked up. When he comes on, he can talk about these textbook wars, because he's been an educator, and they've been battling it out for a very long time. Only many of us are not aware of what's been transpiring here in this country as it relates to our educational system, and how it's all been taken over by these commies who think that it's okay if your kid can't read. Doesn't matter if Johnny can't read. He doesn't need to read anymore. Who needs to read? Reading ain't all it's cracked up to be anyway, right? So, there you go. That's kind of the theme for the 21st century. Johnny can't read. He doesn't need to read. Reading ain't all it's cracked up to be anyway. So, there you go. A lot of successful stories will come out of that, won't they? I mean, you could just imagine the prosperity, and we'll be soaring to new heights, won't we? It'll be just absolutely, it'll be marvelous. Everything that's going to happen when you have a illiterate populace who can't read, can't think, and they don't care anyway. In fact, I know I had read this the other day on the air, and it was a reference that he made in one of his articles to the fellow I had on Monday, Randy Murray, to George Orwell, but it really is the truth, and I'm going to read it again. This is from George Orwell's 1984. From the proletarians, nothing is to be feared. Left to themselves, they will continue from generation to generation, and from century to century, working, breeding, and dying, not only without any impulse to rebel, but without the power of grasping that the world could be other than it is. What opinions the proles do not hold is looked on as a matter of indifference. They can be granted intellectual liberty because they have no intellect. And that should kind of clue you in to where we're going here in America. We ain't going anywhere. I got news for you. Will the last man out of the warehouse shut the lights off, please? Because that's what's happening. And you can see it. I mean, if you looked at America and compared it to a thriving warehouse or a business, a steel plant, a factory, everything's moving and going 24/7 activity, busy little bees wandering around and doing their thing. And now you see it's like the night watchman at a warehouse, right? And the lights are being turned off on America. And one by one, you see it get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer until, will the last man left please turn out the lights? Because that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what is taking place here in this country, is they are turning off the lights one by one, slowly, methodically, stealthily. And no one is saying anything. We are willingly ignorant. We truly are. We've allowed this to go on. We've chosen to look the other way. We've said nothing. We've done nothing. Oh, there have been a handful of people who have taken offense and umbrage against what's transpiring around there, and around here, and they've recognized it, and they've stood up. But they were the voice crying in the wilderness because no one else paid any attention. No one has the courage to stand up and be counted. And I think you need to stand up and be counted. Now is the time. Now is the time, America. It's not tomorrow. It is not tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. It's only always today. So today is the day you make a decision. You can be Rocky. You can go and do battle and be Rocky. Or you can be that ignorant pro, led with a ring through your nose, led into nowhere. Anyway, we're going to break, everybody. I'll be back in 3 minutes, and then I'm going to Karl is on the line, so we'll bring him on when we come back, and we will take Kevin in Australia as well. We'll be right back, everybody. Don't go away. This is the Unsolicited Opinion.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
This is an important message from hempusa.org. For our listeners who are advancing in age, baby boomers, and to all who want to be healthy, we urge you to try our microplant powder and see the difference it makes in your life. Please visit hempusa.org and read about microplant powder. It's easy to take, 1 heaping tablespoon in any liquid 3 times a day. Call 908-691-2608 or visit hempusa.org. Please inform your family, friends, and relatives about this incredible product. It can change your life if you give it a chance. So try microplant powder today. Call 908-691-2608. In this toxic world, microplant powder can help now in cleaning out heavy metals, parasites, viruses, fungus, and bacteria. Please download our catalog at hempusa.org today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Everybody, this is Maggie Roddin, and you are listening to The Unsolicited Opinion, and honestly, I hated to start talking because I really loved the soundtrack from that movie, Rocky. Oh, it was just magnificent. I've always liked music, and I do like horns, and it was just, it was very well done. Anyway, we're not here to talk about music, though we could, but that's not the purpose of my show. But I am happy because I have, well, two things. I've got Karl Priest is on the line with me, and he is the gentleman who has the website called insectman.us, and I'm going to let him explain to you why he titled his website insectman.us, and I want to bring him on, and then I want to take the caller real quickly, and then we'll go forward. Thanks, Karl, for joining me. I appreciate it. I know it's a last-minute thing, but I do appreciate you taking the time to come on with me today.
Well, Maggie, I'm honored to be here, and you don't bug me at all.
Well, well, I'll tell you, honestly, the Rocky tune I had played for Fred because he was going to do battle, but he's having heart problems, and I'm just worried that something maybe from the time I talked to him, something transpired. But, you can say that song applies to you in your battle as well, and the people who battled it out in these textbook wars. But before we get into that, let me grab this caller real quick, if you don't mind, Karl. He's on the line. We've got Kevin in Australia. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hiya. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. You know what?
What?
You'll go down as one of the Patriots, I'm sure.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you, Kevin. It was a little muffled.
I said you will go down as one of the American Patriots in history. Your name will be entered in the records above in heaven, where you stood on all of the raping, the pillaging, the pilfering, the plain extortion that those in government have unleashed against the American people. It will go down in history that you were against it. And
wow.
as for the Rocky, you stood and you said, no, that's not right. That's not fair. You people are thieves and crooks and liars. Our country, America, is not about this type of carrying on. We want honesty. We want justice. We want equity. I mean, these are all fair and righteous things. Now, as for the Rocky movie, you know what? Rocky was a good movie. It was not much of a story to it, but you know what? It captured the hearts of the people. It won awards. Now, when you relate Rocky to, I relate Rocky to Ron Paul. Now, when you think about Ron Paul, just a little while ago, Ron Paul in mainstream was, a real joke. They sort of kind of, used to snicker. But now they're actually, Ron Paul is the go-to guy. He answers the hard questions. I just saw a video just on your channel, the Republic Radio, on a sort of a round table thing that Ron Paul was involved with. They had this black American gentleman commenting on I don't know if it's the president of the Fed, a guy called Greenspan. And I mean, Greenspan was just a total, absolute failure. He was a puppet of the New World Order. He was one of the characters that, one of the main players that sent America into a nosedive. And here's this black gentleman, and there's nothing wrong, could have been a white guy, but it just happened to be a black guy, standing up and saying how good this Greenspan was. And as soon as he'd finished what he had to say, the woman interviewer then asked a question and threw it at Ron Paul, and the camera panned over there to Ron Paul, and he came up with the answer. And you know what? Ron Paul, from being in a position of minority, he's the Rocky, That guy has the potential. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Ron Paul has the potential to turn America around because the policies that Ron Paul stands for are exactly what America needs. I mean, You don't pour money down the drain that you haven't got. You don't go into bigger debt when you haven't got any money in the first place. I mean, that's just absolute craziness. If there's a system in place like that Federal Reserve Bank, which is not American. It's owned by the Bank of England. It's owned by the Queen of England. It's owned by various, super rich foreigners.
I know.
That bank should have nothing to do with whatsoever. That bank should be burnt to the ground. And I'm not suggesting that anybody go out and actually physically burn it to the ground, but that's what should happen. The place should be burnt to the ground. Those who are in charge should be dragged up in front of courts. They should be put on trial. And if found guilty, they should go into jail for 1,000 years. And every asset, every piece of money that they've gathered, their wealth that they've stolen from the American people, ought to be recouped. It should all come back to America, and be put back into the system and give Americans jobs, education, and all the rest of it. They are thieves. They are cancer. You know?
I do. I understand. And listen, Kevin, I want to thank you for calling. Stay listening because you're going to enjoy what my guest is going to be talking about this morning. Thanks for calling and thanks for your kind words. I appreciate that very much. Karl, I want to read a little something from, and this is from an alphaphonics.com website, and this is from education letter, the Blumenfeld Education Letter, and this is published, this was an article from 1986, and it defines multiculturalism because I think it's going to play right into what it is you were going to talk about today and what multiculturalism means. Multiculturalism is based on the notion that the traditional Judeo-Christian model of American values is no longer valid as the model to be held up to children in the public schools. These values are generally associated with white Anglo-Saxon Protestant culture, usually referred to as WASP culture by its critics. The educators believe that WASP culture is in decline and is not being replaced by another dominant model. In fact, the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education statement on multicultural education is entitled, "No One Model American. Ergo, many models will take its place." A multicultural society is one made up of many equally valid ideals that can serve as equally valid models for young Americans. No one is required any longer to conform to the once dominant Judeo-Christian ideal, and the public schools are now required to convey this message to the students.
Wow.
So that goes into your whole battle, the textbook battles that you were involved in. So if you would, Karl, please give everybody, tell them what your background is, and then we can go forward from there, if you would, please.
I'm a retired public school teacher in West Virginia, Charleston, which is the capital city of West Virginia. You know, Maggie, I think it's amazing the technology that we could have someone calling in from Australia. Back in 1974, when this battle erupted, which we'll talk about if that's what you want to do, it was mostly word of mouth and just plain old dial-up phones. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the technology that they have today to spread the word. But it was an amazing thing that was done in 1974, and unfortunately, it's been ignored or forgotten by this modern conservative movement.
So let's talk about that. What happened in 74, Karl? What did take place then? And because I know you refer to it as the original second Tea Party movement, and I would have to agree with you. So let's talk about what happened in 1974.
That could be the original or the second Tea Party movement or the first modern Tea Party.
Yeah.
In 1974, you were just talking about multiculturalism. That's when it really hit the public schools, and in my opinion, they chose this system in West Virginia, which is not small, over 45,000 students in the system at that time, to institute their agenda. And fortunately, a lady by the name of Alice Moore, in my opinion, on whose shoulders Michelle Bachmann and Sarah Palin stand, caught it and brought it to the attention of the parents and the churches in this area, and a great uprising developed. Of course, there were things that happened that we couldn't control because it was truly grassroots, but we said, no, you're not going to do it, and we stopped it, and we stopped it nationally for a while, but eventually it came back in, and then now we're seeing the results of it.
So when you look on your website, why insectman.us? What does that have to do with this? What's the origin and the purpose of titling your website insectman.us?
Well, as a young teacher, I was teaching sixth grade, so I had to teach all of the subjects, and I wanted science to be interesting. So I was interested in insects, and I stumbled upon a 4-H program about entomology. I used that. The kids loved it. I loved it. And I developed my hobby further, and eventually, 20-some years later, I got into some battles over teaching the truth about science and evolution in the public school here in Kanawha County. That's the county where the battle erupted. And I began to use my insects as a means of conveying the truth about creation and the fact that evolution is a lie. Insects are just a great way to convey that. So I just chose the name Insect Man. That's what kids were calling me. Actually, they were calling me Bug Man, but I wanted to be more precise and chose Insect Man. That was the website. And that's what I put on the web. And then as I transitioned into the Exodus Mandate Project, which tries to get people to use home schools and Christian schools, I just kept that as the name of the website and put a sub-page for Exodus Mandate.
Okay. I know I spoke with the producer of Indoctrination. He's actually going to be on my show. I believe you're going to be in that documentary as well. Am I correct, Karl? You are in that as well as I know Randy Murray's in that documentary talking about the indoctrination that takes place in our school systems across the nation. I believe you're in that. Am I correct?
You're correct, and I know Randy, a wonderful guy, has 2 great books out. You probably already have talked about those. And which producer did you talk to, Joaquin or Colin?
Colin. I talked with Colin.
Joaquin's the man behind the scenes, and yes, we will be in that. When I say we, he interviewed me, but it focuses on what happened in Kanawha County in 1974, and he also shows an amazing scene from the year 2000 where a parent stands up in a board meeting and starts reading from a textbook that his daughter is using in high school. It's a supplementary literature book, and they have to beep him out, and the president of the board stopped him from reading. I highly recommend that everyone get a copy of that Indoctrination. If we have any hope to change this country, that movie may be the impetus to get it done.
Well, you know, I had, and I'm not sure if we had discussed this or not, Karl. I can't remember, to be honest with you. I talked with so many people. After a while, I don't know whether I'm a foot or horseback, and then I throw in half the time I can't sleep. So, you know, I'm like running around, and I'm like running around like a chicken with my head cut off half the time, Karl. I truly am. But anyway, I believe I was talking to you about the documentaries I had watched. I'd gone to a local church here nearby me and watched that Waiting for Superman, which, of course, the emphasis on that documentary was that the answer would be, these charter schools for kids. And I've tried to say to people whenever I go and give presentations on UN Agenda 21, I always tell people the best thing you can do for your kids or your grandkids is homeschool them, pull them out of the school system, that it doesn't make any difference whether they're in a so-called public school or they are in the so-called charter school. The problem is the curriculum. That's what they're faced with no matter where they go. That's the problem, and the solution is don't have them exposed to that crap that they're teaching.
You're absolutely correct. A charter school is just a government school with a longer leash. Educational freedom is the answer. Homeschooling is the best by far.
Well, these kids are being lied to. I mean, how can you, and I don't know if you were listening to the show before I contacted you to say, hey, my guest didn't come on. Would you come on at the last minute? I don't know if you heard me read from one of Randy Murray's articles, but how many people have any idea that this diverse learner is somebody who's incapable of reading, and they'll make no attempt to teach them to read? He's now being read to, and that qualifies as reading. I mean, you can't, in your wildest imagination, Karl, can you make this stuff up? Who would ever think that was the facts? That was factual. They would think, she's just making it up. It's a lie.
It is amazing, and in all fairness to public school teachers, some of them just, or not some of them, most of them just can't handle that. There's so many different levels in their classrooms they have to teach to the middle. And the ones you're talking about, the ones who are really poor readers, they just get left out or they get read to, as you're saying.
Yeah. It's just, it's truly, I say that it's absolutely evil. When I started to look into what was going on in the educational system, I mean, I had just a cursory awareness. I remember when they got away from teaching phonics, teaching kids to read using phonics. I remember that battle taking place about 30 years ago or so. But I didn't have kids and I wasn't involved in it. I just remember hearing rumblings of a battle taking place. And but then in the last few years, I had run for school board, and so I had was doing a lot more research. And it was just amazing to me when I would go to the cashiers and they couldn't make change, and it was like, well, what is going on here? There's something wrong here that no one can add one on one and get two anymore. And then I started to do some research, and it really just blew my mind. It truly did. Listen, on that note, we've got the cue music playing. Karl will be back in 3 minutes, everybody. This is the Unsolicited Opinion. My guest this morning is Karl Priest. His website, insectman.us. Please go there. We'll be back. We'll take some calls. We shall return.
Berkey purification systems have long been recognized as the world's ultimate in water purification. Berkeys are used worldwide under normal, hostile, and emergency environments. Securing your access to good-tasting, sparkling, wholesome drinking water can be harder than you might expect. Water is often laced with chlorine, lead, high levels of harmful bacteria, and other unwanted chemicals and contaminants. Even bottled water can contain these contaminants, and moreover, it's expensive. Other purification systems are inferior. Most do remove pathogenic bacteria, and many remove the beneficial minerals that your body needs. Perhaps that's why Berkey systems have long been recognized as the world's ultimate in water purification. This simple, highly effective method of microporous, self-sterilizing, and recleanable black Berkey purification elements bring you the finest water purification system available anywhere. Call today, 1-800-724-2719. That's 1-800-724-2719. Or go to our online store, republicbroadcasting.org. Free shipping for a limited time only.
If you're the mother of a child with behavior problems, I'd like to talk to you. My name is Janet Lehman. I'm a behavioral therapist and a mom. I know what it's like when the child you love becomes a defiant, out-of-control child who disrespects you. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the program that tens of thousands of moms are now using to turn around their child's behavior. If you've heard about the Total Transformation and wondered if it will work for you, now you can try it for free. I'm willing to give away 1,000 programs today for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. We'll let you keep it for free. I know the Total Transformation works because I used these techniques with my own son and with troubled kids for over 30 years. Let me prove to you that it works by giving you the program for free.
Call now. 1-800-583-1093. 1-800-583-1093. That's 1-800-583-1093.
Are you still paying your credit cards and so-called bank loans thinking that you owe the money? Do you feel like it's your moral obligation but can't see an end in sight? Well, what if I told you that in truth, you don't owe a single penny, and that the banks know this and hope you don't find out? Here's where we come in. Free2Prosper.com specializes in a profound debt repudiation method which challenges the validity of your so-called debts, morally frees you from the burdens, and protects your property. Our system is often superior to settlement, bankruptcy, or consolidation, which often leave you in a worse situation. If you feel the moral obligation to take care of yourself and your family, then I urge you to consider taking action right now. The economy will not wait. If you want to know more so you can prosper through the economic collapse, all while staying honorable and true to yourself, then call 877-417-8393. That's 877-417-8393. Or visit Free2Prosper.com right now.
This is the Unsolicited Opinion, and I'll tell you, I could just listen to that. I just love, and I know I've said this already, but I'm going to say it again. It's my show. I can say what I want. I just love that whole soundtrack. I love instrumental music. I love orchestras. I love strings. I remember, in fact, this is a teacher that I had in 7th grade. He was the music teacher, Mr. Wizyczynski. Remember his name as if it was yesterday. But, Karl, I actually, when I was a kid, when I got out of that music class, I could tell you what instrument I was listening to, all of them. Woodwind, string, it didn't make any difference. I knew the sounds all of every single instrument that was out there after having been in his class. It was just a magnificent class. It really was. And I used to be able to identify them all. Oboe, French horn, it didn't make any difference. I knew the sounds and knew the names of the instruments, and it was just... that was a class I actually learned something in, Karl. So, you know, of course, that was a long time ago, too. So, but anyway, here we are today, and you don't need to read.
For the break, you were talking about the phonics. My son, about 3 years older than my daughter, learned to read by phonics. And when my daughter came through, they had the look-say method, and she just didn't learn to read. We had to have her tutored by my sister-in-law in order to catch up with her reading. It was just a remarkable difference.
Well, you know, one of the things that Randy had mentioned, and that he was said in one of the articles I read, that when the children are taught with phonics by 4th grade, they have amassed a vocabulary of about, I think he said 24,000 words. When they're taught with this look-say, like flashcard method of memorization, they have 1,500 only a 1,500 word vocabulary. I mean, that's just stunning to me, Karl. It's absolutely, it is just, I mean, it is mind-boggling. And how could you not, as a teacher, recognize that someone is struggling with that method of teaching? How could you not? I mean, they knew right away that didn't work. It's not like they didn't pick up on the clues that it wasn't working, the kids couldn't read.
Teachers are going to use what they're required to use because they want to protect their jobs, and they do that with evolutionism also. But also, I want to insert along in the 70s, and as far as I know, it's still going on, the so-called new math, where the children are to feel good rather than be forced to learn the basic facts. I ended up my last 9 years teaching junior high and middle school 7th and 8th grade math, and I always had to get the children, or the students, young people, I guess, at that age, to learn their basic facts when they hit the 7th grade, which they should have learned in 3rd grade.
Right. Well, I know that you said that if the teachers want to keep their job, they have to go along with this stuff. But, I have to tell you honestly, Karl, to me it is, I could not just go along to get along. I've never been able to do that, to be honest with you. I've kind of been like this horse of a different color. You know, when they say zig, I zag, that kind of thing. So I never was real good at just going along with the program.
Well, there are some teachers like that. Randy was one, and I was one, but they're rare.
Yeah. Karl, hang on a second. We've got to go to a quick 60-second break. Everybody, this is the Unsolicited Opinion. We will be back in 60 short seconds, and I know all of you listening can count that high. So we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, this is Maggie Roddin. This is the Unsolicited Opinion Radio Show, and I want to say hello to everybody out there who's listening all across the country on all the stations that pick up the programming from Republic Broadcasting Network, and especially to our latest station, which is down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that is KHFX 1140 AM. I want to say hi to everybody who's listening. I normally try to say hello earlier in the show, but I was a little discombobulated today. But anyway, better late than never, as they always say. So I wanted to let everybody know that if you're into Facebook, you can find Republic Broadcasting Network on Facebook under Republic Broadcasting Network. Ah, do you like that, huh? That's pretty novel. And if you are into Twitter, you can also find Republic Broadcasting on Twitter for all you tweet fans, and I happen to be a Twitterer. And Republic's name on Twitter is RBN Live. RBN Live. And if you would like to advertise your business or service on a network that redistributes the truth, as I always like to say, one word at a time, then you can get in contact with us. The telephone number is 800-724-2719, 800-724-2719. You can send us a missive via snail mail. The address to do that is 2251 Double Creek Road, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. Our number again to call us, advertise your business or service, 800-724-2719. Our website address, republicbroadcasting.org. If you would just like to donate to the cause, because listen, I say this all the time, there ain't no free lunch in life, then go to republicbroadcasting.org and donate a few dollars to help us continue to be able to redistribute the truth. So my guest is Karl Priest. He has a website called insectman.us, insectman.us. And when we went to break, Karl, you were mentioning that, it's very hard for teachers to, most teachers just go along to get along, but you, as well as Randy Murray, were not two of those people who just went along to get along and, can't ruffle any of them feathers kind of a thing, but that wasn't you, nor was it Randy. So let's talk about that a little bit. Karl, I have to honestly tell you, I don't know how you could stand in front of a classroom and have minds there that you are going to be capable of molding and stand there and lie to them and go home and sleep at night and think, oh, well, I got mine. They better get theirs. I've got my pension and I've got my guaranteed job because of the union and that. So, what do I care? They're on their own. Oh, well, what are you going to do? I don't know how you could do that. To be honest with you, I just don't understand. But unfortunately for all of us, Karl, that seems to be the MO and has been the MO in a variety of ways for a very, very, very long time, and not just as it relates to the educational system, although that's our topic today, but people just look the other way and say, oh, well, what are you going to do?
A lot of teachers, maybe most of them, don't realize that they're lying. They're indoctrinated themselves. They've come up through the system, and they've especially been indoctrinated in the university-level colleges of education. The old Beaver Cleaver teachers, as far as I know, are all gone now. They're out of the system.
Yeah.
There are a few Christians in there that I consider them missionaries in hostile territory, but most of them are just indoctrinated, strong union members, and they stand up and they teach what they believe.
I say this, and I've said this several times already on the show today, but it just is, I am just dumbfounded by this stuff. It just is, I don't know, do people not have any sense of right or wrong anymore? I mean, we really have to ask that question. It's evident. We're going to go to break. I'm hearing that cue music. You can respond to that, Karl, when we come back. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody. This is the Unsolicited Opinion Radio Show, and my name is Maggie Roddin. We will return.
Introducing IXL Anti-Friction Metal Conditioner. IXL works at the molecular level to reduce friction by penetrating into and bonding onto the microscopic openings of the walls of ferrous-based metals. The surfaces become smoother and denser, and this reduces the heat, friction, and metal expansion and wear caused by moving metal surfaces. The benefits are reduced maintenance activities and cost, increased fuel efficiency, and prolonged equipment life. It will not clog pipes, injectors, or supply lines, does not build up or accumulate on itself as do many other additives. IXL does not contain moly, PTFE, or graphite. It also offers the tremendous benefit of being non-toxic. It is used for a friction reducer and performance enhancer in gas or diesel engines, transmissions, automatic or standard gearboxes, turbos, electric motors, outdrives, lathe, and cutting applications. Go to republicbroadcasting.org, then to our online store, or call us at 800-724-2719. That's 800-724-2719.
Are you still paying your credit cards and so-called bank loans thinking that you owe the money? Do you feel like it's your moral obligation but can't see an end in sight? Well, what if I told you that in truth, you don't owe a single penny, and that the banks know this and hope you don't find out? Here's where we come in. Free2Prosper.com specializes in a profound debt repudiation method which challenges the validity of your so-called debts, morally frees you from the burdens, and protects your property. Our system is often superior to settlement, bankruptcy, or consolidation, which often leave you in a worse situation. If you feel the moral obligation to take care of yourself and your family, then I urge you to consider taking action right now. The economy will not wait. If you want to know more so you can prosper through the economic collapse, all while staying honorable and true to yourself, then call 877-417-8393. That's 877-417-8393. Or visit free2prosper.com right now.
Do you flinch when a police car appears in your rearview mirror, or you get pulled over? Are you squeamish when an envelope arrives in the mail with the return address of a court, a government agency like the IRS, or some law firm? Would you like to escape government agency harassment? Then visit escapeharassment.com. George Bush allegedly says, the government constitution is nothing but a doggone piece of paper. Well, that's a contract. A contract is an offer acceptance of that offer, at which point a contract arrives by law and the offerer can no longer withdraw the offer. We teach, do not accept. That way there is no contract or agreement for you to go to their court or private club meeting. To escape government agency harassment like the IRS, visit escapeharassment.com. This is a tried and proven experienced process, not experimental, with a money-back guarantee that it works and success testimonials from previous students. Remember, escapeharassment.com. That's escapeharassment.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Maggie Roddin. You are listening to The Unsolicited Opinion. If you'd like to call into the show today, 800-313-9443 is the number to do that. 800-313-9443 is the number to do that. My guest this morning is Karl Priest, and he is a retired public school teacher And he has a website entitled insectman.us, insect, as in bug, insectman.us. Please go there. He's got a lot of information on his website that I think is worthy of reading. So let's go back to 1974 and when these textbook wars took place. So you mentioned a lady, Alice Moore, I believe you said her name was? Alice Moore is a wonderful lady, and I hope you'll interview her someday. Yeah, give me her contact information. I'd like to. Truly, I would. So tell me about Alice. She caught on to what they were up to, I assume. So let's start with Alice, please. It's an amazing story. Probably too long, but I'll try to put it in a quick capsulization. Okay. She was flipping through a magazine in a beauty parlor and saw something about the sex ed program in California. She thought it would never happen in a Bible Belt state like West Virginia, but it did, and she became involved with a small group of ladies. Literally 5 minutes before a deadline to run for the Board of Education and having to borrow the filing fee, she filed for the Board of Education, beat a tremendously powerful incumbent, and one thing happened after the other. That was, I think, around 1970 when that happened, but in 1974 is when the powers that be decided to implement a values-changing program into public schools, and they chose Kanawha County as their target. She caught on to it, and the story is told in my book, and if you have questions, I'll address those. What's the name of your book, and can they purchase it on your website? You can get it through my website or Amazon. It's Protester Voices, the 1974 textbook Tea Party. I call it Protester Voices because each of the leaders got to write their own section in the book. Alice Moore has her own chapter. There were 5 pastors who suffered a lot of persecution who joined with her. They've written their own chapter. There's a coal miner. By the way, the economic pressure when the coal miners went on strike is what made this a national and even a worldwide news story back in '74 when they shut down the coal mines in West Virginia. It not only affected West Virginia but the nation because a lot of the energy comes from the coal mined in West Virginia. Yeah, exactly. The coal-fired power plants, sure. So anyway, people can read the first-hand account, not only my opinion, but from the words of those who were more involved than I was at the time. Okay. All right. Yeah, Can I interrupt you here? Go right ahead, Karl. You can say anything you like. Please do. A couple things I want to address. There were 3 avenues that we objected to back then, and you mentioned at least 2 of them. One was the multicultural education, and that was where they wanted to put in things like Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Fire or Soul on Ice, and call that a representation of the black community. And we didn't object to multicultural. We just objected to the people that they chose to put in as bad examples. And also, we didn't think that every value system was equally valid. That's where they tried to do away with the Judeo-Christian standard that this country is based upon. Also, there was a lot of values clarification. The Sidney Simon thing was strong back then, situation ethics, which leads into something you talked about with these teachers that will stand up in front of a bunch of students now and try to convey things that are not true. Well, they don't have a value system. They've come up themselves without a value system. And then, of course, there was a lot of profanity and things like that, but those are the 3 categories that we rose up against in 1974. Well, I want to read a little bit more from this article I referenced earlier on the alphaphonics.com website about multiculturalism. And I'm not sure if I read this sentence or not. In fact, the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education statement on multicultural education is entitled No One Model American. Ergo, many models will take its place. For decades, the compelling rationale for public education was that it provided the means of Americanizing the millions of different immigrants who came to these shores. It provided a common body of values for all Americans. But apparently that rationale no longer holds. According to Charles A. Tosconi, Dean of the College of Education at the University of Vermont, quote, we all know by now that homogeneity has not and does not characterize American society. We know how a great myth that the melting pot turned out to be American society, then is best characterized as a mosaic of an extensive, highly diverse array of cultural elements. As a descriptor, multiculturalism points to a condition of numerous lifestyles, values, and belief systems. How is it taught? And how is multiculturalism therefore to be taught, and what will be its desired results? By treating diverse cultural groups and ways of life as equally legitimate, and by teaching about them in positive ways, legitimizing differences through various education policies and practices, self-understanding, self-esteem, intergroup understanding and harmony, and equal opportunity are promoted. Thus, multicultural education embraces much more than mere cultural pluralism or ethnic diversity. It legitimizes different lifestyles and value systems, thereby legitimizing moral diversity. The concept of moral diversity directly contradicts the biblical concept of moral absolutes on which this nation is founded. Yet our public schools, in order to be accredited, are now required to teach that there are no moral absolutes, that every individual has the right to freely choose his or her morals, and that ethics are situational. The result has been moral anarchy. And you'd have to say, based just on those couple paragraphs that I had read, Karl, that is so factual, because there is no right and wrong anymore as far as our society is concerned. It's whatever you want to do. That's right. Whatever it is, it makes no difference. That's right.
Yeah, those two paragraphs were excellently written. I couldn't come close to expressing it any better. You know, Maggie, the opposition to folks like us understands the battle. I have quotes on my website on a page called They, and then in parentheses, Atheists Understand the Value of Education. And one of them is this one. Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted. That's Lenin. I have several quotes there that just blatantly say the battle for the hearts and minds of America is in the education system. But we conservatives keep feeding our children to them. We sacrifice them at this pagan altar called the government school system. And my soapbox is to the modern Tea Party people, you may win the political battles short term, but you're going to lose the war if you lose the children. Well, one more thing, they would
no, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
They would never send their children to a Bible-believing Sunday school for an hour because they know their children would be affected. But we send our children to their pagan seminaries for 6 or 7 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Well, did you see recently that Arnie Duncan, I guess he's the Secretary of Education, or Czar of Education, I believe he's Secretary of Education. I watched a video of him, and this was just recently, Karl, that he said that he thinks the kids should be in school or in government's control 6 to 7 days a week. Because, of course, we know that's exactly what they want. They want the children from birth onward so that they can manipulate their minds right from the get-go. They don't want them to have any contact, essentially, with their parents whatsoever. You can't have any input on what your child thinks. How dare you try to instill your value system into them? Because your value system of right and wrong is the antithesis of this lack of value system, which this moral relativity where everything is equal.
You could probably put these words in his mouth as a paraphrase of what he said. This is a quote I'm reading. The education of all children, from the moment they can get along without a mother's care, shall be in a state institution at state expense. That's Karl Marx. That's also on that web page that I was talking about. They do understand, and they do want to control, and probably now they want to take the children from even when they can't get along without their mothers.
Well, You know, you see this more and more with this whole collective ideology of it takes a village crap that, you know, Hillary and her compatriots are hustling. But you see that all the time, and when I went to watch that documentary, Waiting for Superman, it happened to be in a black church nearby me, and most of the people, other than myself and two people who were running for school board who happened to be white, everybody else there was black. And one of the young kids in the audience, she said, well, you know, I think it's the individual that makes the difference, because somebody had mentioned something about it was the community's job to help educate, blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, I think a lot of the emphasis is on the individual. And I stood up and I said, I agree with you 1,000%, because it is the individual. The individual is what makes up the community, not a collective. And, of course, that's the point that these people, of course, totally overlook deliberately, that it takes the individual to make things happen, and unless we focus on the individual, nothing is going to happen. But they know that as well. Listen, I'm hearing the cue music, Karl. We'll be going to break. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody. This is The Unsolicited Opinion. My name is Maggie Roddin. My guest is Karl Priest, insectman.us. Go to his website. You'll be glad you did. We'll be right back.
Did you know that the water you're drinking may contain over 2,000 different contaminants? From hormone-disrupting and mind-altering chemicals like fluoride in pharmaceuticals to newly emerging contaminants like radiation and other hybrid chemicals that water treatment plants don't screen out of our drinking water. PureEffectFilters.com has a breakthrough filter solution to effectively reduce the widest range of such contaminants, including the radiation coming from the Fukushima disaster. In addition, the filters will also revitalize your water by releasing natural minerals and electrolytes while increasing pH and antioxidant levels. Safeguard and revitalize your drinking water today with a breakthrough Pure Effect water filter system. Visit PureEffectFilters.com to learn more, or contact us today at 1-888-891-4821. That's 1-888-891-4821. Call now and take one of the most important steps you'll take to a healthier future.
Are skyrocketing prescription costs draining your budget? If you don't have insurance or are taking medication not covered by insurance, the Powerhouse Savings Card can lower your prescription costs by up to 50%. Now you and your family can save 20 to 50% on all prescriptions. It's accepted by most pharmacies and mail-order pharmacies nationwide. No prescription card is easier to use. Just show your card and save 20 to 50% right on the spot. There are no monthly fees, just a one-time processing fee of only $4.95 for you and your immediate family. Stop paying full price for prescriptions. Stop going without the medication you need because it costs too much. Now your family can get the prescriptions they need at a cost you can afford. Call 1-800-963-0232 now and start saving money with the Powerhouse Savings Card. Call 1-800-963-0232. 1-800-963-0232. 1-800-963-0232.
Are you new to freeze-dried foods? These fine, easily storable foods were first developed for the U.S. space program. Today, the U.S. military and the U.S. submarine service enjoy using these products extensively. Freeze-dried foods typically maintain their high nutritional value in excess of 30 years. Why store emergency food? Keeping food on hand for emergencies protects you the same way as does insurance on your home or car. With Freeze-Dry Guy freeze-dried foods in your food reserve, you can be ready for just about any unexpected crisis. In today's turbulent times of uncertainty, global crisis, world market collapse, stock market volatility, increased frequency of natural and man-made disasters, there has never been a better time to get a survival insurance policy. Take the necessary steps to protect your family in these uncertain times. Visit freezedryguy.com. or call 866-404-FOOD, 866-404-3663. We pay the freight within the lower 48 states.
Hey everybody, this is Maggie Roddin, and you're listening to The Unsolicited Opinion. And I am talking this morning with Karl Priest. He is a retired educator, and he has a website that is called Insectman.us. instectman.us. And he has also written a book which is entitled Protester Voices. Give me the entire title, Karl. I apologize. I don't have it written down here. I normally am up to speed on what my guest is all about, and I do apologize today. Protester Voices.
The 1974 textbook Tea Party.
The 1974 textbook Tea Party. Okay. And they can purchase that on your insectman.us website. Protester Voices, the 1974 textbook Protest Tea Party. You had mentioned something about Tea Party people, and then I'm going to take a caller. We have a caller on the line. But the Tea Party people, you're right. Unless they realize that a short-term gain is still a long-term loss, unless they figure out the fundamental problems that exist in that, they need to be targeting those. But, as you and I had discussed on the phone, I believe it was you, I don't know. As I said again, I talk to so many people, sometimes I can't remember who I've said what to, but the Tea Party people, many of the groups have been taken over by the GOP, and they've fallen prey to that whole dialectic, thinking that the Republicans will be the answer, and if we get the Republicans elected in 2012, we'll all be saved, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, that's an erroneous thought process, because the facts are, if there was a distinct difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, then we wouldn't be where we are today. They're both the same slice of bread. They're just the opposite side. They just hustle us from a different angle, and that dupes people into believing and thinking that somehow their objectives are different, but they are not. Their objectives are the same. Their approach is different. That's all.
My personal way of looking at it is the only difference is that the Democrats will destroy the country faster than the Republicans.
Well, they're both doing a real good job, I can tell you that much. Let's take this caller. We have Jerry in Northwest Indiana. Hi, Jerry.
Yes.
Hi. Hi.
Good morning, Karl and Maggie.
Good morning.
Hi.
As a senior, I have some things that I want to comment on that I've observed from where I sit. In 1953, when I was in high school in Northwest Indiana, President Eisenhower was our president at the time, and he created a brand new cabinet position at that time called Health, Education, and Welfare at a federal level. Well, I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't even think about it at the time. But there is no authority in the Constitution for that cabinet position at that level. Those three responsibilities are assigned in the Constitution to the states. So what happened after that was that slowly but surely the Fed started sending the school systems federal funds. Wouldn't you like to have federal funds? And of course they would. And so then shortly after that, they began saying, well, yeah, let's talk about curriculum. If you're going to get our funds, let's talk about curriculum. Well, some of the very first things that were dropped were, of course, civics. And that morphed into some goofy topic called social studies. And it created a vacuum for young citizens that they no longer then knew when their government was broken, because they didn't know how it was supposed to be structured from the tenets of the Constitution. When I was in civics in 53, our teacher said that we will be studying civics this semester. You'll have your own copy of the Declaration of Independence, the federal Constitution, and your state Constitution. We will go through every chapter and verse, and when we get done, you won't need a Philadelphia lawyer for interpretation. Well, that was true, but some of the and U.S. history was one of the ones that was tampered with too, incidentally. And then shortly after that, they began consolidating schools, taking schools out of a community and putting them in a centralized place with literally thousands of students, all of which impacted on accountability. Then the school system superintendent, in light of his umbrella that he was expecting, started being the turkey that decided who was going to teach in his system instead of the school principals. Now, I always thought it was a good idea to have school principals making the decisions on what teachers they were going to have in their school, because there's a certain amount of competition between school principals to have the best school. There's some exceptions to that, maybe, but overall, that's a pretty darn good generalization. And then they dropped such cultural gems as, Maggie, you referred to it earlier in the program as music appreciation.
Right.
And what was some of the other ones? Some of the shops that gave us some skills was wood shop, metal shop, electric shop, and sewing classes. And then one other thing that came into being.
Jerry, hold that thought. We've got to go to break. Hang on, Jerry. I'm going to keep you over. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody. This is the Unsolicited Opinion. Don't go away. We shall return.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
Warning for all Gulf Coast disaster survivors. Be aware that dangerous gases are in the air you breathe. Benzene, hydrogen sulfide, methylene chloride, and Corexit 9500. Keep your body clean with micro plant powder. For all Gulf Coast residents and all who want to be healthy, hempusa.org brings you a new formulation of micro plant powder with lactobacillus acidophilus, rebuilding your immune system while detoxing the rest of your body, pulling out positive toxins, heavy metals, viruses, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Cleans and purifies the blood, lungs, stomach, and colon. Microplant powder will help eliminate these dangerous chemicals from the body used in the Gulf cleanup. At hempusa.org, we want you to try our #1 selling detox product, Microplant powder. Call and order at 1-908-691-2608, 1-908-691-2608, or visit us at hempusa.org today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Are you or someone you know suffering from high blood pressure, cholesterol, or chest pains? Are you looking for a more natural way to overcome these health challenges? Extendovite is made from herbs known to help with these symptoms. Made from garlic, cayenne, hawthorn, and 4 other herbs, Extendovite goes to work detoxifying heavy metals and killing fungus and virus to enhance your overall health. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Everybody, this is Maggie Roddin. You're listening to the Unsolicited Opinion, and if you would like to advertise your business or service on this network, then get in touch with us, 800-724-5792. 800-724-2719, 800-724-2719. You can find Republic Broadcasting Network on Facebook. We're Republic Broadcasting Network. You can find us on Twitter. We're RBN Live on Twitter. Hello to everybody who's listening all around the country on all the stations and networks that are picking up the programming, and to our latest station, which is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, KHFX, 1140 AM Dallas. And if you would like to just make a donation to help keep the truth on the air, you can go to republicbroadcasting.org. You can donate online. You can send a check. Hey, you can do anything you want to do. Just do something. Don't do nothing, because nothing isn't working. We're already seeing that, and it's not working at all. Listen, everybody, my guest this morning is Karl Priest, and he has a website. He is a former teacher, and he has a website which is called insectman.us. Please go there. There's a lot of good information. And, Jerry, you were making a point when we went to break, so please go ahead.
Well, I had spent just a few minutes just talking about the changes in school curriculum that have, in essence, sent each generation of students down the road to zombieism.
Yep.
You know, and they don't know their rear end from a hole in the ground.
I agree, but they think they do, though. They feel good about themselves, and they think they're Rhodes Scholars.
Well, and then let me just continue for a little bit, because I wanted to vent on this for some time.
Well, go right ahead.
One of the things that we had in school in those days, and I think they still have it to some extent, is a gym class where once a week our class, there were several other gym classes, our coaches would line us up on the playground, mostly boys, I must admit, and have us dress or stand in a straight line, and then we'd move across the school campus, and we were instructed to take our little bags that they gave us and pick up anything that wasn't growing. So that meant that we all got indoctrinated into the idea that if you're eating some potato chips or whatever it might be, you don't throw the damn bag on the ground, because you're going to be picking it up sooner or later.
Right.
You know, and the reason that was dropped is because the union said that's my job.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I know.
Yes, and right now you look at any school campus, and they're not doing their job. The campuses are filthy with such debris. The other thing I think that I'd like to talk about is school boards. They need to be totally revamped. Members must have some kind of criteria to sit on the school board. They must show that they have some concept of academia. And they also must all, as our Congress must be, subject to term limit. You know, we've got people sitting on our local school boards there that were there when my kids were born.
Yeah,
and that was 30 years ago. You know, and they're still sitting on the school board. Now tell me their value at that point.
Well, they have none. None whatsoever.
And so from where I sit as a senior, I think that the most important step to returning our nation to constitutional governance and grandeur as it used to be in my day is found in the revamping our educational system at all levels. My son and daughter were honor students in the end of the 1900s and the beginning of the 2000s, and both are college graduates, as I went on to be. But my wife and I could not overcome peer pressure and their time at school. Now, looking back on it, we wish to God we would have homeschooled those kids. But that just wasn't in the cards then. So I guess that's what I wanted to say. Frankly, with my schooling getting out in the 50s, early 50s, and my college after I went through the military, my kids can't hold a candle to me, frankly.
No, I'm sure they can't, Jerry.
They have all these fancy technical things with computers and all this kind of stuff, but they can't write a good sentence. They can't write a good letter. They respond to emails with one or two syllables, yes, no, maybe, or whatever,
I know.
Where are the authors, the fabulous authors like Hemingway? And right now my mind is racing to get what I wanted said. I can't come up with a whole bunch of other ones. But
take your time. I'm going to let you talk.
Golly, the short stories that we had to read and the longer stories that we were assigned, and they were just fabulous, And I think when you talk about music appreciation, for example, gosh, I never even heard of an oboe until they showed a picture of it, and then during a concert, she stopped and said, "You know what that sound was? It was an oboe, or a bassoon, or that was a kettle drum."
Yep.
And so right now, all it seems like our kids know about music is the volume control. It's got to be up.
Yeah, I know. But I'll tell you, Jerry, I don't know if you
soul music. Where is the music that actually makes you want to weep or laugh or cry?
I know. I don't know if you had listened to the show the day I was talking about the book I've been reading called The Language Police, but you ought to get it from the library. It'll blow your mind at how much they've censored all of these things out of the textbooks deliberately. So that's why no one knows the difference between a trumpet or a trombone, because I don't want anybody to know. There can't be any differences, Jerry. We've all got to be the same.
And then the other thing I was going to add is that we had prayer in our school, and some half-wit somewhere along the line, and a whole Congress full of half-wits decided that we had to have separation of church and state. But nobody seems to focus on the fact that isn't what the First Amendment said. We're just not supposed to have an official national religion. They said nothing about a prayer in school or separation of church and state. And, of course, the people that should be fighting for this, which is the generic pulpit people, they all have become government churches now because they all want to get on the gravy train with the tax exemptions from their parishioners, and so they have to conform to the IRS 501c3 code that says that they can't criticize any politician or they can't criticize their government if they're going to get this exemption.
I know.
So all you hear now from the pulpit is platitudes of love, joy, happiness, forgiveness. Well, I don't forgive a crappy government or anybody else that's sending this beautiful country down the tubes. And one more thing, President Washington, on his farewell address, if everybody, and I'd urge everybody to read it, it's easily available on the internet, cautions us about two things: entanglements with foreign nations, and who are we entangled with more than anything? Israel. And now, you're not supposed to talk about that, but I'm not talking about the religion. I'm talking about the politics of Israel. Because everybody has a right to believe in anything they darn well please. But I'm talking about what I hate is their politics, their Zionism. And this goes for the, what is it called, the I can't say the word Christian. I'm tongue-tied right now. But
Karl, do you know what he's trying to say?
No, I was just trying to think.
I'll tell you, it's just one of those days, guys, that's all.
Yeah, I think it's in the air.
It could be. Something's in the air.
The other thing President Washington warned us about is political parties, because by their very nature, they're corrupting. I mean, isn't that what they do in political parties, is make deals? Isn't that where they sell us down the river?
Yes, you're exactly right, Jerry. You really are. Jerry, hang on. Let me have Karl come in here. Karl, anything you want to comment on what Jerry's been saying thus far?
sure do. Jerry brought up some really good points, and there's three of them I want to comment on. First, the most recent one he said was talking about the pulpits. I think the problem is not politicians, it's with preachers. And we need more preachers like these guys that are in my book. All five of them were arrested for standing up back then. Another thing Jerry brought up, and I'm probably going to put words in his mouth, but I think he was talking about this. It's sort of like the frog in the pan of boiling water. It's just gradually increased since the 50s with the federal intrusion into the education system. And the third thing, I probably disagree with him. He said something about revamping education. I don't think we can revamp it. If we want to revamp it, we need to do away with public education and let the free market take over. And that's the way we'll revamp education.
Well, I don't take issue with that. I guess revamping the educational system may be a little bit more plausible than letting the marketplace take care of it. But I don't have any strong feelings about that, except I agree with both of them. The word that I was trying to think of is evangelico.
Okay.
Man, you got to remember that Israel is the chosen land. It's God's chosen people. Now, what the hell are our Christians? Are we Limburger cheese or what it is? I follow Christ, and I think that Christ is my Lord and Savior. I don't know anything about this. The Israelites being God's chosen people. That doesn't make sense to me. And where that came from, I don't know. Now, some scribe wrote that down. It says he was inspired by the Lord, perhaps, or whatever. But it was probably a Israelite that wrote it in the Bible. It was a Israelite scholar that wrote it in the Bible. But it doesn't make sense. The modern version of the Bible says that we have to follow Christ. What is the term? I'm hyper right now because I am the truth, the way, and the life. Is that what the Lord said?
No, yeah.
Well,
he did.
That cuts out everything. To me, that means that you have to follow the Lord.
Well, I would agree with you, Jared.
And I have no allegiance to Israel whatsoever, except they have the Zionists there have impermeated every aspect of our government, and they are the puppeteers. They are running the show. Our boys and girls are dying for their causes, not for ours. Hell, we have nobody to be terrorized from, unless it's those folks that have been damaged by our unlawful wars that we've gone in and created hostilities in sovereign nations, stuck our noses where they don't belong. Hell, the Lord favored us with two huge bodies of water that make it almost impossible for anybody to occupy this country that we don't want them to.
Well, I'm going to, on that note, I'm going to let you go, Jerry. I want to give Karl, we don't have much time left in the show. I want to thank you for calling, Jerry. Karl, you got any commentary? We've only got about, 3 minutes before we hit the last break, and then a couple minutes after that. So step in, Karl.
Yeah, I don't want to get off on the theology, what little bit of time I have, but something you brought up previously about when you watched the Waiting for Superman, it's sad and comical that everybody sees that the problem that we have a great problem of public education in this nation, and almost everybody would say, but it's not in my school. Well, that's where I differ with them. It's in every school. Some are just worse than others, and the difference is how we solve it. The liberals, the powers that be, want to pump more money in. Well, that's been done for 40 or 50 years. That's not the answer. We do have problems, and we're not going to solve them with more money. And another thing I want to bring up is, as I was doing some research trying to tie in how evolutionism is connected with becoming one world government, I was amazed at the things that I found. One of your areas of interest is Agenda 21. But I compiled something on my website called The Common Thread, and it started out with an article, but I accumulated a lot of things in the addendum to the article that I think people may find interesting and useful to research this coming one world government, and it's going to be largely instituted by the education of our children. Here's a quote from an atheist that's on my webpage. I am convinced that the battle for humankind's future must be waged and won in the public school classroom by teachers who correctly perceive their role as the proselytizers of a new faith.
Where can they find that on your website,
Karl? They go to the Exodus Mandate Butterfly
on the left-hand side. Okay, I see that. Okay.
And then just scroll down through there, and it'll say, these people understand, and that'll take them to several quotes that are just blatantly obvious that the other side understands where the battle is being waged. Conservatives don't. They still think it's by electing a Republican.
Yeah, no, they don't. They don't understand at all, and it's funny because I've been trying to talk to people about this for quite a long time, and it's so often it just falls on deaf ears. It's like, you're talking to a wall. It really is. It's amazing to me that, I don't know, I think people, they like the illusion. They don't want the illusion to be broken down because then reality isn't a pretty picture at all. The illusion is a much better delusion to hang on to, I think, for a lot of these people, Karl, and that's why they stick with it as much as they do. I want to read one more paragraph before we go to break. Thus, American public schools are no longer to be used to inculcate a common set of moral and spiritual values based on our Judeo-Christian heritage, but are to be used to promote a plethora of competing value systems with Christian fundamentalist values cleverly excluded from competition. In other words, the public school is now a marketplace of competing pagan and anti-Christian belief systems. The students have a choice, but the market is rigged. That, in a nutshell, is multicultural education. We'll be right back, everybody, in 3 minutes for the final segment. Don't go away. This is the Unsolicited Opinion. Hang in there. We shall return.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
If you're the mother of a child with behavior problems, I'd like to talk to you. My name is Janet Lehman. I'm a behavioral therapist and a mom. I know what it's like when the child you love becomes a defiant, out-of-control child who disrespects you. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the program that tens of thousands of moms are now using to turn around their child's behavior. If you've heard about the Total Transformation and wondered if it will work for you, now you can try it for free. I'm willing to give away 1,000 programs today for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. We'll let you keep it for free. I know the Total Transformation works because I used these techniques with my own son and with troubled kids for over 30 years. Let me prove to you that it works by giving you the program for free.
Call now. 1-800-583-1093. 1-800-583-1093. That's 1-800-583-1093.
Are you still paying your credit cards and so-called bank loans thinking that you owe the money? Do you feel like it's your moral obligation but can't see an end in sight? Well, what if I told you that in truth, you don't owe a single penny? and that the banks know this and hope you don't find out. Here's where we come in. Free2Prosper.com specializes in a profound debt repudiation method which challenges the validity of your so-called debts, morally frees you from the burdens, and protects your property. Our system is often superior to settlement, bankruptcy, or consolidation, which often leave you in a worse situation. If you feel the moral obligation to take care of yourself and your family, then I urge you to consider taking action right now. The economy will not wait. If you want to know more so you can prosper through the economic collapse, all while staying honorable and true to yourself, then call 877-417-8393. That's 877-417-8393. Or visit free2prosper.com right now.
Hey everybody, this is Maggie Roddin. This is the Unsolicited Opinion, and we've only got a couple more minutes left. My guest today has been Karl Priest, and he has a website entitled insectman.us. I will link to his website on mine, which is 3 words, theunsolicitedopinion.com. Go to the tab entitled podcast, and there will be a link there to Karl Priest's website. We've got a couple minutes, Karl. Excuse me. Is there anything, final thoughts you have? Anything you'd like to say? Give us your book again, please.
The book is Protester Voices, the 1974 textbook Tea Party. It's on Amazon or my website. And I do want to close with this. This is another quote from my web page. This is from a signer of the Humanist Manifesto, Charles Potter, and he said, "Education is thus a most powerful ally of humanism. And every American school is a school of humanism. What can a theistic Sunday schools meeting for an hour once a week and teaching only a fraction of the children do to stem the tide of the 5-day program of humanistic teaching?" That's in their own words. The conservatives, you were talking about, you felt like you were talking to a wall. That's because conservatives often criticize welfare programs, but they're attached to the welfare of the public school system. It's called free babysitting. I document that a lot of sexual contact goes on between students and teachers, but I want to use this analogy. Parents would never send their children to a babysitter that's a known sexual predator, but they willingly send them to a babysitter 5 days a week that's a soul predator.
Yeah. Well, I'm just reading something on your website, and it talks about kids spend 14,000 hours in school, the largest block of time spent doing any one activity in their life other than sleeping. Whoever controls those 14,000 hours effectively controls how the child's worldview is shaped, and certainly is true. No doubt about it.
That's a no-brainer, and conservatives had better get the message or we're going to lose.
Yep, I agree with you there. It's so critical. Knowledge is power. It really is. And if you don't have it, you are done like a duck's dinner before you don't even get out of the gate. You don't even get to the gate to even get out of the gate. It's just the way it is. It's just a fact of life. Well, I want to thank you so much, Karl. You stepped in at the last minute for me today, and I truly appreciate it very much. I thank you for all you've done, and I hope that people will go and buy your book, Protester Voices, a 1974 textbook protest tea party, and that's available on your website, insectman.us. Thanks so much, Karl. I do appreciate your time today.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
It's been an honor.
Thank you very much, Karl. Hey, everybody, go to his website, insectman.us. He's got a lot of good information on there, a lot of great articles. Take the time to read them. Take the time. You got to take the time. Take the time to fight for yourself. You don't want to be a slave. It ain't no fun. Just ask the people who are slaves. Are they having fun? No, they're not. Listen. As that song, Rocky, you got to stand up. I know it appears like a Goliath is there, but you got to stand up. There's more of us than them. I say that all the time, but it is a fact. Believe it. It is a fact. There are more of us than there are of them, and there always will be. Wake up, America, please. Listen, everybody, I love to go to Oz. Somewhere over the rainbow is a wonderful place to be. Keep your chin up, everybody. We have people like Karl Priest in the world who are fighting for you and I, so you can't lose heart. You got to keep your chin up. Better days are coming.
And my host here is not playing my Oz song, but for those of you who listen regularly, you know I love to go to Oz. Anyway, take care, everybody. Rocky will do for today. Chin up. I'll be back and another great show follows mine. See ya.
Really? You know what Miss Gus said she was going to do to Toto? She says she was going to...
Now, Dorothy, dear, stop imagining things. You always get yourself into a fret over nothing. Now, you just help us out today and find yourself a place where you won't get into any trouble.
Some place where there isn't any trouble. Do you suppose there is such a place, Toto? There must be. It's not a place you can get to by a boat or a train. It's far, far away. Behind the moon, beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. You dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where